Hi, everybody. Um, this is Arun Gala. My podcast is called Grabbing Coffee with Arun. And in the podcast, I talk to everyday people that are doing interesting things. And today, my guest is David Cleveland. David has the same eye condition that I do, which is it's called retinitis pigmentosa. And to kind of start off with, David, welcome.
Yes, thanks for having me.
So to kind of start off with, let's talk about what retinitis pigmentosa is. Um,
Yes, well, it's a condition that affects the retina, which is the back part of the eye. A lot of people call it like the film to the camera. So it's like where everything gets projected onto that comes in through your eye. And there's like millions of these photoreceptor cells that I like to think of kind of like as like pixels on a TV screen.
right.
And so you have a fixed amount of these when you're born, and hopefully, if everything's normal, you keep most of them all your life. But with RP, retinitis pigmentosa, uh, they start to die, um, and there's no real set schedule as to when they'll die and how many, and so it kind of has a variety of its progressions. Some people lose vision very quickly after having pretty normal vision, and some experience problems early on in life, and then it gets worse, and then kind of plateaus. Um, and there's just all different flavors, like you should say, and there's a lot of different genes involved. It's very complex condition. It's genetically based, so there's
Right.
a kind of a defect in these different genes and proteins and things that cause the retinal death, the retinal cell death, and and there's a foundation fighting blindness, which was founded back in the early 70s to try to look for some cure or treatments to this. And they've made some progress on some forms of the disease, but they haven't really found anything that would help like a big population of people.
Hmm.
Uh, so I think last stat I heard, I think it's like one in every 100,000 or something. People have it, but or maybe 10,000. I don't. Anyway, it's pretty rare, and so in my experience with it, I was diagnosed very young. I was uh, I was 6 years old. My parents had found a specialist here in Houston that knew a lot about it, so I went into Herman Hospital, and they kind of put me under sedation, and they
Hmm.
did this they call an ERG, electroretinograph, which is kind of akin to a EKG for your heart, and it measures the electrical activity, in the retina. And if I guess there's certain thresholds where they know this is not right, so I passed the test, as you say. I They knew right away. I guess I had it. Um, Now my uh, experience with it, I guess the reason why my parents took me in was I had trouble navigating the house, like when it was dark. I'd bump into furniture, and I guess I was not able to see certain things. Maybe my color
Hmm.
um, detection was kind of bad. I still have problems with blue and green and some other shades. And I think I'd color things wrong. With the crayons and such. So that that's what tipped them off. So yeah, so for my I actually call it my adolescence. From that time until like 18. Um, I went to regular school. I didn't go to any, of like the Texas Blind School. I didn't have like Braille teachers or these things that other people talk about. So I
Hmm.
pretty much had a kind of a normal school experience. But that's not to say there weren't problems. I experienced. Um, I know Wes was on here earlier and he talked about bullying, and I did experience some of that with people kind of making fun of me and trying to see what I could see, and because this condition also, I guess I should tell more about what the symptoms are. So you got, of course, the night blindness I talked about, where you can't really see very well at all
Hmm.
unless there's a light, and usually the more light the better. Although sometimes if it's too bright, it's too much glare.
Yeah, the glare bothers
Uh,
you.
yeah, but the light sensitivity is also a problem if it's too bright. Like I remember, like a lot of times in the summer, the sun would just be so blinding, and like going from the bright sunshine to like a dark or kind of dimly lit building, I just like I couldn't see anything. I'd have to stop for like a couple of minutes and let my eyes try to adjust, which they kind of did. But normal sighted people, I think it's very quick. So yeah, the other thing is the tunnel vision. Um, so it's kind of like you're almost like you're looking through. People sometimes describe it as looking through a
A
like a
straw.
straw.
Right.
Yeah, where you see a small field of vision. And sometimes that field of vision can be very crisp and clear, almost like 20/20, or very pretty normal. But then the outside, like the donut that's surrounding it, you don't know what's out there. So you end up bumping into things, missing curbs, missing stairs, all those
Hmm.
kind of things. Like playing sports, it was very difficult for me, like to see the ball, um, to follow like a baseball or any kind of ball like that. Although basketball, I had a little better luck because it's a big orange round thing, so I could do a little bit with basketball. Although passing was hard. I couldn't really catch if someone passed me the ball, but I could shoot pretty well at one time. But so yeah, the tunnel vision, I mentioned the color vision, of course, and then just your general kind of acuity, starts to degrade typically. So with my case, I think my best corrected vision that I recall was like 20/60, which is not great. Usually, people's vision's corrected to 20/20 if they have glasses, or pretty close to it. So I was already, at a deficit there. And so um so I mentioned, like when I was 18, I got a meeting with what they call the Commission for the Blind at the time, and they declared me legally blind at that time because my
Hmm.
acuity was, um, I guess my acuity was still uh, good enough, but my visual field, they call it, the peripheral was pretty low. So that's how I qualified to be officially be legally blind. Now my acuity continued to decline in my 20s, and I had a lot more trouble reading. Um, I
Regular
guess I
print.
really had trouble probably in high school, but I was just kind of in denial a little bit. I used a lot of Cliff's notes, like in English class, to get through some of the books we had to read. And um, yeah, I guess I kind of made up for it with just my listening skills, and just kind of, instead of reading stuff, I just pay attention and then remember stuff
Hmm.
by hearing it and stuff. Um, but when I got in college, I had more trouble, like even just finishing an exam on time. I'd
Right.
be sitting there, um, and the class would be over. It's like an hour long class, and I was only like halfway through the exam, and everybody had finished like 20 minutes ago, and I'm still sitting there like I can't even get through all this with the Scantron, putting the little bubble on the Scantron sheet. It was all very challenging.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that was looking back, I probably should have gotten more assistance to start with, but I did get through college. It took me about 6 years, and had to repeat several classes, and it was,
That's still not bad though.
so, huh?
That's still not too bad. I mean, six
Well,
years.
no, I mean, I'm kind of amazed I got through it, because at one point I thought I was never going to finish, but I towards the end I did seek out the services they had at University of Houston, where I attended, and I got extra time for my exams. They would print them out on large, like that big 11 by 17 paper, and blow them up on the old Xerox machine. If anyone knows what that
Hmm.
is. um, and they had this other machine called a CCTV, and I was a little bit familiar with them. I kind of heard about them. I never used one. So what it is, and they still make them, it's a essentially a camera hooked up to a TV screen, and the camera focuses on what you know, like you put it on a tray underneath the camera, and it takes, you know, it takes video of what you put under it and displays it onto the screen,
The
and you
screen.
can control the size of it. You can blow it up like 2 times, 4 times, you know, 20
Mm.
something times. It's really big, and you can change the like the background, make it black with white text or black with yellow, and all kinds of things. And when I discovered that, I thought, wow, this is really great. And you know, it really helped me kind of complete those last year and a half or so of school. And eventually, you know, I got one from my home use when I graduated,
Mm.
and I used it, you know, in my employment career until at some point it kind of got too hard to even look at that and follow the letters, you know, because you had to move the paper around a lot. And the larger you make the letters, of course, it just takes a long time to get through even just a small like a letter or something. You know, because
Right.
you're having to go like almost letter by letter or word by word
Yeah.
because it's pretty tedious, and it's a lot of eye strain and just. So I started looking into the screen reading technology, which luckily for us, you know, that has been a real uh, you know, amazing thing that we have these software that can basically convert the text to
Speech.
speech. Yeah,
Right.
like the and so so yeah, I've been using that, and so like when I got my iPhone back in like 2011, uh, I didn't even mess with trying to like look at that little screen, you know, trying to blow it up. Or I immediately used the voiceover, which is Apple's screen reader that they include in all the phones. And I've gone on to use, sometimes I've used JAWS, sometimes I've used this one called NVDA. Um, and so pretty much now I could still see some of my computer screen on my PC screen if I, you know, get real close to it and blow it up to like, you know, was it probably 15 times or something like that.
Hmm.
But it's mainly just for comfort. I just kind of, it gives me like a security blanket kind of thing.
Yeah.
There are a few times when I have to use it, you know, if there's something is not accessible, like it won't read out what I need it read out, I can kind of blow it up and figure it out where I need to click and where I need to do what I need to do.
But
Um,
what
but yeah,
gets
the screen reading has been great.
yeah, what gets me is like to kind of go back to your point about this retinitis pigmentosa. It manifests differently in different people. I've never seen like you said, it's very complicated, right? I mean, some people are affected.
Yes.
It affects their hearing. Some people affects it. It just
Mhm. Yes, no case is the same. Yeah, there's a whole category that affects the hearing more, almost more than the sight, or kind of um, they call it Usher syndrome. But yeah, it's yeah, there's just the more you look into it, yeah, there's just a lot of um, different cases and everything. It's no it's not a cookie cutter thing.
yeah.
Um,
As anybody went back and looked back in your family, um, what do you call it, history to see if anybody else has it? Because I went back and looked at my grandfathers and all that. Nobody in my family even has any kind of eye problems.
um, yeah, there was of course one of the problems I guess is that they didn't really diagnose this thing too much until probably the 50s, I think. And probably even later than that, you know, in some areas. I mean, that's probably, you know, when people really could say, oh, yes, you definitely have RP. I mean, people had, you know, kind of bad vision sometimes as they got older, or they'd say, oh, well, that guy's just, he's blind now or whatever. And they didn't really know exactly why. I did have, I think my mom's, my great grandfather, or yeah, there was some kind of anecdote story that he lived on a farm, and he got to the point where he couldn't like make it from the house to the barn
Mhm.
on his own, or without getting lost or whatever. So they kind of ran a line, like a kind of a clothesline or some kind of thing he could just follow, so he could
Mhm.
go, take care of the animals and stuff.
Mhm.
So I mean, that could have been RP, and there's different ones that is genetically based. So sometimes it skips many generations, I think, because it's
Right.
now there's some cases I know of people that it'll be several in one family will be
Mhm.
affected, like
Oh
several
yeah,
siblings,
I've seen
um,
that too.
or like uh, uncle, and then the next generation, one of his nephews has it or whatever. It's kind of like that kind of progression, or where it kind of runs in the family, but it maybe hits a couple people each generation or something. But um, so yeah, it's kind of fascinating in a way. But I guess what when I was younger, I kind of bought into this, like, oh, there's going to be a cure, and
Yeah. Right.
maybe I
Right.
should
Yeah.
just wait, and suddenly they'll fix my eyes, and then I'll be able to drive. I'll be able to do what I need to do. I guess kind of put things on hold. Like I was almost like,
Waiting for
um,
this miracle to happen
yeah,
or
because
something.
I know, like in your case, you didn't really know till you were like in your 30 or so, I think. But um, so yeah, so and my dad was involved in that FFB, as a fundraiser, and also he was on the board, and I would go to some of their conferences, and you get real excited about things that were coming, and then it was like, well, when is it going to come? So I guess eventually, like probably when I turned about 30, 31, I kind of said, well, I think I need to really come to grips with this, because I lost my job through a layoff, and I really wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get another job. With my vision condition was at that time, the job market was kind of bad, and I wasn't getting a lot of interviews and so on. So I started to use the cane, the white cane. I
Mhm.
decided to kind of make a decision to just use it all the time. I had been playing, or kind of using it when I traveled, or when I might be going to a place that's busy, like a theater or something like that. But
Mhm.
and then I guess with your help, I started using Metrolift,
Right.
the paratransit service here in town, because I'd been registered like back in '96 or '7 or something like that,
Yeah.
um, and never used the Metrolift service. I mean, I was eligible, and but I didn't
Yeah. We
actually
we we kind of helped
use
each
it
other,
till
I
I met
guess.
you. I think we went to the mall, and we went to different places, and I kind of started getting used to that, and that was very liberating. To have some more independence, not have to rely on people for rides all the time.
Yeah. And when I
Um,
first started, I'd be nervous on mental lift.
yeah, so I mean, like my first job, I was still living at home, and my dad would like take me to work most of the time, or pick me up, or both. And like, and when I get this new job at the city, it was new back then. um, I started using Metrolift, and I used it, pretty much the whole. I've been using it the whole time I've been working there for 24 years or whatever it is.
I can't
Um,
believe it's been that long.
uh, so, and just using it for to go to social events, or going out to eat, or just all the things that I guess I kind of been putting on hold uh, in my 20s. So, uh,
But let me ask you this,
so,
David. Like
so
a lot of people. I mean, I don't run into that as often as I. I mean, I used to run into this a little bit more. Like when people look at you, they think, I mean, they think that I can't do anything. They think that how do you tackle something like that? Because to me, that's kind
yeah,
of
mhm.
I don't know. I
It's
mean,
yeah. So, um, I guess when I was younger, when I had a little better vision, I'd kind of get kind of the opposite, be like, well, you can see, you look like you can see. You're looking at me. You know, you know, you're faking it, or
Right.
where's your glasses? You're blind. Where's your glasses? You're not wearing glasses, or your glasses aren't that thick. I used to wear sunglasses, not sunglasses, but I used to wear different kinds of glasses, but they were just kind of normal. They weren't like this big Coke bottle, like stereotypical Mr. Magoo or whatever.
Yeah.
Glasses. Um, so, but then as I guess I got maybe more blind, and then of course when you use the cane, I think that kind of um, signals to people, oh, this guy really is blind. Look, he's got a cane.
Mhm.
But so in a way, the cane is a little bit of a double-edged sword, I guess. It helps a lot with the independence, but sometimes people treat you, I think, more um, like you're more helpless, because you have the cane,
Mhm.
and they want to grab onto it. They want to give you a
Yeah, they
lot of
want to grab
advice where to
onto it.
go, and what,
Right.
hey, and just
They want
yeah.
to teach
So
you. They want to show you how to open a bottle when you already been doing it for so many years. And
oh yeah, can I open that bottle for you? Like you lost all your arm strength.
yeah,
Um,
the thing that gets
so
me more than anything is like when you go with somebody, they'll ask you, "Well, what does he want to eat?" You know what I mean? I mean,
yeah, I still experience that occasionally where
yeah, it's like,
they'll ask
I know what I want to eat. I can tell you what I
that
want to eat.
person, yeah. Um, so yeah, it's yeah, that's still, I guess, a struggle. The education people as so what blind people can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting
um,
that you were talking about because we used to get these newsletters from Foundation Fighting Blindness, and my parents would literally hang on to that. Oh, we got research coming in 10 years, and you're going
mhm,
to be cured in ten
yeah,
years. It's like
mhm,
I'd be counting the days. It'd be like to wait for that day when I could drive or
mhm.
I could see perfect. And but yeah, I had to
Yeah,
let that go too, I guess. But
um, yeah. I mean, something might still happen. I mean, I'm not. It's just I think it's good to just kind of just wait for that, and not do what you can to make your life better. And a lot of the ophthalmologists, they don't really push um, like the vision aids and the things. They're more just, oh yeah, your eyes are bad, sir.
mhm.
Tough luck. Come back in 2 months, in 2 weeks, or no, 2 weeks, sorry, 2 years or whatever. Um,
Right, but
but
so let's talk about some of the groups that we got involved in as far as like uh you know we can mention like the museums and
well, yeah.
let's talk about the Museum of Fine Arts first.
Okay. Well, yeah. So the Fine Arts has had this program called Art Beyond Sight for probably over 10 years. It might even more than 10
Might be
years.
more, yeah.
More like almost close to 15. Now, I think you went there first, and you told me about it. And yeah, so basically, I think they modeled it after a program in New York City. So they'll train these docents on how to uh, like create descriptions of artwork and sculptures and things. So we'll sit in chairs in front of the artwork, and the volunteer will basically
Describe everything.
describe the piece. How big it is. Um, if it's a painting. Like the approximate size. Each segment of the painting. Okay, there's this in this quadrant. This quadrant has uh, a woman sitting in a chair, and so on. And, they kind of go through the layout of the picture, and then a lot of times they'll have a visual aid they'll pass out, which is kind of like raised puff paint, or a few times they did like 3D printing, where you can
Hmm.
actually feel the elements of the painting, and kind of get a feel for what's actually there. And then we'll also talk about the artist, the history. I enjoy that too. They'll give you a little extra research you wouldn't really know if you just walking through the museum.
Right,
Of course, you
right.
can read the name of the artist on the little tag, but
Hmm.
they go into depth, and what's the career of the artist, and what they. It's very interesting, and so yeah, it's a good program. And then of course the Science Museum does a, I guess it was not the same program, but it's more hands on,
It's
where
called a
they
touch
go into
tour.
the, yeah, it's called touch tours. And I think they do these for children mainly. I mean, I think they also have like elementary school children come in and kind of go through the same things that we're doing, but of course they do it more for adults. They don't talk down to us like children, but they they pass around things that you can touch. That they might be, some might be real uh,
Hmm.
objects, and some might be like 3D printed, or casts of something. Like recently, I went to the one about paleontology, and they actually passed around a few actual fossils that were like embedded in stone. You could feel the stone. You could feel like the little animal, or what, the thing that was stuck into the stone. But then some of them were cast that told us, well, at least this was made out of off of a real fossil, but we couldn't, let you touch the real one because it's probably too valuable or something. But yeah, and they have people, again, volunteers, and they do a lot of research. I mean, they're very enthusiastic for the most part. I mean, I really enjoy those programs.
Yeah, and I'm really
And
surprised that more blind people don't take advantage of these programs. I
yeah, I
mean,
think the struggle is getting the word out, and um, it's just, I guess there's a lot of blind people that just aren't in the know, or they don't, they're not plugged in, I should say, to all this. And like, how
mhm.
do you reach more of them? It's always been a challenge. I think like back when we ran that support group years ago, that was, we were always trying to find like new people to come into our vision support group.
Mhm.
So it was originally RP, and then we wound up, we didn't have enough RP people, so we started getting other blind people that had other conditions, but they still, I guess when you look at it, we're all in the same boat pretty much. I mean, it's people have varying degrees of vision loss, but it still affects our lives. I mean, it is a something we have to overcome.
Right. But
But yeah,
recently, here
it's
in the last few years, we got involved with a running group. I think you started. You were in the group already.
yeah, well, yeah,
Cat,
the catapult, yeah,
right. So tell me a little bit
yeah,
about.
that's been a great experience. So I I did a little bit of running when I was younger, just on my own, but I always felt very not too comfortable, and I had a few times when I ran into things while I was running, and I got hurt bad one time. I like hit my head on a post, and it split my forehead open, but it was a big gash. I had to get stitches, and
Hmm.
um, but and that was, I was like 25, something like that. But so anyway, yeah, when I was I guess just not too many years ago, I guess 2018, I found out about this catapult group that was doing, they do practices twice a week, where they have a guide that will run with you, and you have this little tether that you're holding,
Hmm.
that they hold the other end of, and they guide you around the course. So we typically do like, like a 3 mile
Yeah.
practice, or sometimes longer if you're like practicing for a longer race. Like we've done, half marathons and 10Ks, and I have not tried the full marathon yet, but some of our people do. And we've got people that go to Tokyo, and uh, Chicago, New York, all these big time marathons, and they're really making an impact. They're crushing it, as they say. But yeah, so that's a great group. I mean, if anyone's interested, it's teamcatapult.org is their web address. There's a similar group called Achilles that's uh, more of a national group. It has affiliates in a lot of cities, and actually, I think more of them are outside U.S. But I think you already had someone talk about Achilles. That's right. But
Right.
uh, so that'd be like Achilles.org, I think.
But I remember the first time I went to the meeting, I wore jeans.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
but
yeah.
but it was just hard for me to imagine that I can't really see the ground that I'm running on. It took me a
uh,
while to kind of really gain confidence in myself to say, okay, I can actually
mhm.
trust my
Yeah,
guide
it
to tell me that.
takes.
It took me a while to, you know, to have confidence in myself to say, okay, I'm gonna be okay here, you know.
Yeah, and you have to have confidence in the guide too, because um, they're kind of in control of making sure you don't like run into a tree or get off course or run into other people. And I remember the first time I ran at night, that was kind of a scary thing because when we were running it with some daylight, I could still kind of see a little bit where I was going, at least in front of me. Yeah, I couldn't see below me, like my
Mhm.
feet or anything, but I could see kind of where the course was going a little bit. And sometimes I could see people in front of us, like groups, like little blobs. Oh, I guess there's some walkers ahead of us, and we got to get around.
Right.
Yeah, when you're at night, it was kind of like I was totally dependent on their cues and everything to
One thing I
to
do
get
like
through it.
about yeah, one thing I do like about Catapult, David, is the camaraderie and the it gives us a chance to meet other people and kind of
Yeah.
you're in that one-on-one situation, so you get to kind of interact with the just I say normal people and a regular, kind of regular basis.
Mhm.
You get to know them a little bit more, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good way to meet people and just get out and get some exercise. And it has been fun doing races. I did take last year. I kind of took it easy. I didn't sign up for many races or
I did the same. I did a couple of
and
races.
so I'll see what this year will bring. But
What about let me ask you about I know you were pretty active in the iPhone group. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Or how does one
mm,
say, for example, somebody that's newly blind and they hear about, I keep hearing about people that are like newly blind, they want to get an iPhone, but they're kind of hesitant
mm,
because they have a flip phone. I was like that when I first started. 'Cause it just takes
yeah,
it's not easy to learn the iPhone. I mean, for us, it's easy now because
uh,
we've been doing it for so long.
right, yeah, because it's well, yeah, the iPhone. I mean, if it was I guess the first ones that came out were not accessible, then they invented this software called VoiceOver. So
Hmm.
it just seems kind of crazy. You've got this flat screen, there's no buttons really, well, there used to be that home button, but now there's really no buttons on newer phones. And like, well, how am I supposed to use this? And they developed this kind of genius way to where you still swipe, but then you instead of tapping stuff, you double tap it. That's kind of the basic gesture. Whereas sighted people would just tap on what they want. We have to double tap, and
Hmm.
it reads out stuff as you navigate along. And yeah, it does take some adjustment. Because when I moved from my flip phone to my iPhone, I did want to throw it in the trash. After a week or so, I was like, I don't, I don't think I'm going to get this. But then the more you use it, like the easier it gets if you put the time in. So the iBug group was founded almost around that time, I think 2011, or um, with a local group of people here in Houston that got together, and we started doing conference calls um, on a weekly basis, to just kind of talk about what problems we're having, how to you know
Hmm.
get through them. Are there any new apps out there that are helpful? And that call continues to go on to this day, which is pretty impressive. I mean, it's went through COVID, they went through a lot of changes, and it's still going on every Monday. So it's iBug Today. That's IBUG
.org, right?
today.org. Yeah.
Mm.
And they have a ton of events. I can't even remember them all. I mean, they do a lot of things.
Mm.
They do things with Android now. They do things with uh, Mac, learning how to use the Mac.
Yeah, they also have a
A lot of
mentoring
social
program, right?
events. Yeah, social events, kind of social type. Yeah, there's a mentoring program you can get involved in if you've just got a phone and you're really struggling with it. They can match you up with a mentor that will work with you for a little bit of time, maybe 2 months or so, um, to kind of get you up to speed on just the basic features and how to navigate around. So yeah, it's a great place to start if you're thinking about an iPhone, or if you have one and you don't use it, or maybe you're not using it to its fullest extent and you're blind. Uh, it's definitely something to check out.
But um,
But that the iPhone really, I would say it changed my life, but it definitely opened up a lot of options. Like I never would use texting until I had the iPhone, because I couldn't really do that. That old system we had to like hit the key 3 times for a C or whatever, and it, it was that number pad navigation thing where I think about T9 or something,
mhm.
where they didn't have the keyboard, and plus it wouldn't really read that stuff out very well. Those older phones, they had speech software on some of them, but it was never very completely thought out. But with the iPhone, pretty much all the native apps that they put on the phone are fully accessible. I mean, many of them are very easy to use, and some are a little more complicated. But yeah, there's nothing you can't get done on it. So
Let, let me just ask you about one last thing. I know people want to, like, as far as like entertainment and all that here in Houston, people want to enjoy the hobby center, the arts, and things like that. How would
yeah.
a blind person
Well,
enjoy those kind of venues like the
I'm
Alley
glad you
Theater?
asked.
So,
Yeah, so there's a whole field out, called audio description, um, or AD, as they often refer to it. So I guess there's kind of two branches of AD. There's AD for like um,
movies, right?
TV and movies, which that's very helpful. I mean, I've um, benefited a lot from that. Even movies that I watched years ago with my
Mm.
kind of crappy vision, I now watch them with AD and say, I didn't catch that. I didn't get that joke, or I
Right,
didn't.
right.
It describes things that you thought you were able to see the movie pretty well, but you're wrong. um, so that's and because there's all kinds of places you can get the AD. Like I went to a movie this past Sunday, and you just go to the uh, well, there's not really a ticket booth like there used to be, and most people do online tickets, but you go
Hmm.
to like the manager's desk and you say, I need the AD headset, and they give it to you, and then once the movie starts, it starts to run a little descriptive track that you can listen to while you're also, enjoying the movie. And the same thing with, of course, with the TV, except it comes out your TV speakers. But now for the arts things, yeah, the major arts, at least here in Houston, I'm sure a lot of most of the other major cities, uh, they'll have certain performances that will be described, but they'll be described by a live person, um, human, that's
Right.
uh, sitting in the somewhere back in the theater where they can't really be heard, and they'll be telling you what's going on live. And you have a headset that's most of them are kind of like radio based, or on like a radio frequency, and you pick up the channel, and
Mhm.
then they're talking to you and telling you what's going on. And that's true for like the Alley Theater here, the Tuts, the Broadway across
Yeah.
America. Astros game, you'll be watching it and you'll wonder, what's really going on? That everybody's cheering. What really happened? Did they hit a home run? Did they hit a triple? You're kind of confused. And
Right.
you can bring your radio, or log onto your phone and go to the broadcast, but you'll discover that the broadcast is about 10 seconds delayed or sometimes more. So you'll be listening and then everybody will be cheering. You'll wonder, what happened? And then 10, 15 seconds later, oh, okay, they just got a home run. They just um, so you can go to the guest services booth, guest accommodations, I think they call it, on the first level of Minute Maid, Daikon Park, Daikon, and you can get a headset. And so what it'll do, it'll broadcast the live feed from the broadcast booth with no delay. So
Oh, okay.
while they're describing the game, it's actually what's going on right now. There's no built-in delay. I assume they had to do a delay because maybe sometime somebody said something bad on the radio and they had to build in the little delay. But yeah, that's pretty helpful on it. I don't think a lot of people know about that service at the Astros games. I'm not sure if the Rockets do anything like that or the Texans, but
Yeah.
um, uh,
I do want to cover a couple other uh, topics real quick with you. How do you deal with shopping? What do you do in terms of shopping? Tell me that. Like, do you I know you do most of it online on Instacart and stuff like that,
yeah,
right?
yeah, as my vision declined, it became harder and harder to really go to a store and like um, while I could like walk down the aisles, I couldn't see any like the products were. It was like a blur. Like I could see there was stuff on the shelves. It was like, what is everything? There's just so much. I can't. It was like
Mhm.
overload,
Right.
and I'm talking about like the grocery store, per se,
Hmm.
but or even just going like clothes shopping. It just became very stressful, I guess, especially if I'm doing it by myself. Now I've had a sighted person with me, it was better, but if I were to just go by myself, yeah, it would not be good. So yeah, so I do majority of my shopping online through
Hmm.
Amazon, the different online stores like clothing stores.
Yeah.
I've been a member of Instacart, I think, for 10 years now, and also like the Kroger app is very good now. I've actually been using that a little bit more to do my grocery shopping. Well, some of the grocery stores actually have their own apps um, that they'll deliver the groceries to
So
you.
with Instacart, what happens
Um,
if you get something you don't like? Can you return it or?
well, you can yeah, you can mark on there that either it was not what you had ordered or it was like defective in some way, and they'll usually just give you a credit. Um, Now I'm sure if you do it too much, they might start questioning, but and a lot of times it's like they forgot something, like maybe they charge you, but they didn't put it in the bag. They got it in
Mhm.
someone else's bag, and then sometimes occasionally you'll get something that you didn't even order that was
Mhm.
probably from someone else's bag that got in your bag. But they do, I think, a pretty good job of like picking out produce for the most part. I guess since these are humans again, some are better than others. I think the shoppers. So I think sometimes if they're busy or they just don't want to, they'll just say, "Oh, they don't have that product." When we know they do have it, they just may not know where to find it, and they don't want to take the time. And I
Mhm.
understand they're on a time schedule, so it's. But overall, I mean, I get
Pretty good.
the things I need, and I would highly recommend it to anybody that's got vision loss
Yeah.
to try it out because that was one of the things that I always kind of concerned about, like living on my own. Like how would I go grocery shopping? Because you or would I take a taxi? I'm talking about back in like the '90s when I was uh,
Mhm.
thinking about living on my own after school, but I ended up staying with my parents for quite a while. But it's like you take say a taxi to the store, you do your shopping,
Mm-hmm.
you take another taxi, and that's um, a lot of hassle. Plus, it just um, it. I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. Yeah, so
No, that's fine. I mean,
it's
yeah. So it was kind of a tedious
we didn't
process
have
for
those
you to.
options. Like, I guess I'm saying that we didn't have those options like 30 years ago, uh, and now it's like there's so many people that want to give you your groceries. I mean, there's Uber Eats wants to do it, DoorDash wants to do it, Instacart. Then you got your Kroger, I think HEB has their own um, delivery service, and Target will bring you stuff. If you want Target, Walmart, even Amazon Fresh. I mean, there's so many choices. It's
Yeah,
almost
there's a
like
lot of
which
choices
one do
now.
it's like which one do I pick? It used to be there was hardly any options, and now there's like a lot. And I'm
Yeah,
sure some of these will be kind of whittled down over the
yeah.
years.
It's a great time to
If you
be
want to
blind. That's what I
survive.
say.
Yeah, you got a lot of choice, and a lot of these have deals too. I mean, you can sometimes save some good money. You try a new service, you might get like 40% off your groceries, for at least for the first time. And
Yeah.
they,
One last thing, David, is like a lot of blind people that I notice are, especially when I go to restaurants, they struggle with. I mean, yeah, you can ask the waiter what they have and this and that, but what do you recommend for people that could they look at the menu online, or what's the best way for them to kind of get a general idea
well,
of what the restaurant
yeah,
is serving?
yeah, that's it's gotten better. I mean, a lot of these restaurants do have pretty good websites. I mean, they're fairly accessible.
Mm,
Um, some of them will still do the thing where they just like take the picture of the menu, and then you got to figure out a way to like either use some kind of like OCR app or to kind of convert it back to text. That's a little annoying. Like or like PDF. Sometimes they'll put it in a PDF, but it doesn't read it very well. But more and more of them are putting it in just like a web page view, so you can just kind of scroll down and see what they have. Um,
they don't have that. They don't have those
yeah,
apps anymore, like that all menu
there
app. And
there were some apps that tried to do that. I don't think they were very. I guess they couldn't figure out a way to make money doing that, and I guess they became outdated. Yeah, I used to use one called All Menus, and uh, yeah, another thing I've found is if you most of these restaurants will also deliver, will work with these food delivery apps, so you can go like to Uber Eats
mhm.
and look up the restaurant and just see what they got. And those Uber Eats is very accessible. I mean, as far as
Oh, it's
the
pretty clever.
choosing your
Okay.
food,
Is
yeah,
it?
or DoorDash, or I mean,
Hmm.
um, that's another way to get around
So
the.
Is Uber Eats a different app compared to Uber?
Uh, I think you can get to it from the main Uber app, but
Mm,
they also have a separate Uber Eats app
yeah,
that just focuses only on the restaurants and the grocery, the proceeding restaurant grocery. A lot of different things to deliver. I guess it's not just eats, but
yeah,
so I have both. I have the Uber and the Uber Eats app, but maybe you don't really need both of them, but
yeah.
um,
The thing that's frustrating to
um,
me, David, is like, um, this is the last thing we'll talk about, I guess, is that it gets to me. Some of my family members will easily throw this in my face, like, "Why don't you get a guide dog?" You know, it's just my younger brother just literally throws that in my face. And it's like
yeah,
it's not. I mean, I don't know. I mean, how do you feel about that?
yeah. Well, I haven't really had family members, but I've had other either people that have guide dogs already are kind of pushing it, or
Mm-hmm.
I remember going to a couple of events where the guide dog school was there,
Mm-hmm.
and they were kind of really promoting it. Um, it's a personal decision, like is how much you think
But
you're gonna use the dog, to do um, your daily travels, because they do need to work. I mean,
yeah,
if
they
they
need to be
don't work
taken care of
enough,
too. So, you know.
yeah, you have to take care of them, and yeah, and they like. I mean, they're kind of bred to that. I guess they pick out the dogs that really enjoy the work, so they enjoy it. Plus, if they don't um, work enough, they think their training gets kind of lax, and they just become like regular dogs again. Like, oh, what? Where we're going out? Well, no, I'm not. I'm not doing that. I'm going to take a nap and stuff. I mean, I've heard of people that eventually gave theirs up because they weren't using it, or maybe it's too expensive to keep up with the food and the vets and everything, vet bills and so on. But um, I guess the way I look at it, I mean, here in Houston, we're so. Um, I think you talked to us last week with your guest about New York versus Houston. I mean, here, I mean, we go from the house to the car to and you're pretty much not too far from usually from where you're gonna go from the car when you get there. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
Metrolift will pick me up right in front of my house. They'll take me to my job, and it's only like 100 feet, from the curb to the building. So
To
I
your
don't really
desk.
need a dog to like get me that last 100 feet. I know the route. There's people there that there's security guards and so on. But like in New York, I mean, if you're going to try to use that subway system, and you're blunt, you're going to need a dog. I mean, I went there recently with my girlfriend Stephanie, and I mean, of course, she was a very good guide. But if I was going by myself,
Hmm.
yeah, that'd be scary because also there's those platforms. If you walk too close to that platform
Yeah,
and
you can
fall off,
fall.
well, goodbye. You're electrocuted or whatever, or you get hit by the train.
Hmm.
So I mean, I know some people that live in like Boston and New York and those more urban areas that do benefit, I think, more from having the dog because they have to do a lot of walking just to get to the mass transit to get around it. They're not using as much of the door to door type service we have here. Um, so I guess that'd be my kind of my thoughts on it. But
Yeah, I
I
think
think,
people
well, another thing, I think women maybe can benefit more because they feel more secure walking around
secure.
with the dog
Yeah,
with them, and if they're by themselves. I mean, I've heard those comments. I mean, I read stuff online. I've always been in a lot of these online support groups and chat groups and stuff. So I've kind of picked up the, I guess, the pros and cons of the dog. But I'm kind of excited about some of these advancements, maybe that we can make the cane better, or they even have this like electronic, not electronic, this like robotic kind of thing that it's kind of like a vacuum cleaner you're
hmm,
pushing in front of you, but it can do a lot of the same things that the cane can do, but it gives you more information, about what might be above you, like maybe there's a tree branch that you're about to hit into and things like that, that the cane can't tell you
hmm.
about. um,
That's
so,
interesting.
um, but we'll see if that comes to fruition.
Yeah.
um,
Anyway, David, we
yeah,
covered a lot of
so we got
ground. So,
a lot of stuff. We probably talk all night about all this technology, the self-driving cars, the the alien. We get into AI, but
yeah,
that's been a big help too. The AI based apps that can describe things to you and
yeah.
um,
There's like Be
read your
My.
mail,
Yeah.
and it's
It's-
like stuff used to have a dedicated, that was that open book with the PC, and you have to have a big old
mhm.
flatbed scanner, and
What are those
uh,
eyeglasses called? That meta glasses.
yeah, the metagraphs, yeah, that's another
That's another.
growing technology. Those are just going to get better and
Yeah,
better.
yeah. We
So
can spend hours talking, but
yeah, so like you said, it is I guess a good time to be blind. If you have to be blind, it's better now than it was even 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, I've done like close to I think over 40 episodes, and I think yours is the longest so far. So I think we just crossed an hour.
Oh wow, yeah. You have to
Yeah,
put like a disclaimer in front and said
this is
you
the
may get
record,
plenty
huh?
of coffee for this one.
Yeah,
Grab an extra coffee.
yeah. Anyway, so before I go, what kind of coffee do you like? I should know that, I guess, huh?
I like dark roast. I guess more. I like cafe americano. I guess when I go out, that's what I usually order from Starbucks or other coffee places. It's like espresso with the water mixed in,
Right.
and but I'm not big on the real sweet coffees
Yeah, that
or
frappuccino or
the
whatever, and
latte. Latte is a little too much milk.
yeah, I drink.
I do kind of like iced coffee. I've kind of gotten a taste for that. Stephanie likes iced coffee, so I sometimes
Yeah,
drink it. But
I'm more into that. I don't know. I try that chai latte. It's okay, I guess. It's a little bit sweet though. So.
yeah, but
Anyway, David, let me wrap this up. If you
all
guys
right.
want to reach me, my email is arun, ARUN dot GALLA at gmail.com. And David, really enjoyed having you. You have a good night.
Good night.
Okay, thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye.